Hello my dear students, this is Mrs. Shayma Gharib and today's lesson about square root. Let's start some rules before you watch a video. You have to sit in a quiet place. You should have your pen and a piece of paper to take notes and to solve questions. You should pause the video after each question, then you try to answer on your own. Then you play the video to check your answer and to understand the question in case you get a wrong answer. Are you ready? Let's start our lesson. Let's start by the meaning of square root. It is the inverse operation of squaring, which means it's the opposite. Inverse operation means the opposite operation. For example, the addition is the inverse operation of subtraction. The multiplication is the inverse operation of division. And the square root is the inverse operation of squaring. Do you remember squaring? Squaring means multiplying the number by itself. Okay? Do you remember the square numbers? We get the square numbers from squaring. So this is one of the signs of the square root. It has a sign as any other operation. As we have the plus sign in the addition, the subtraction sign in subtraction, we have also the sign of the square root. It could be this shape, the red one, or it could be this one. Both are the same. Now let's see how we can read it. We put the number under the square root like this. And then we say square root of 16. So we read it as square root of 16. Is this clear? How to get the square root of 16? You will always notice that the number under the square root is a square number. And we said the square root is the inverse operation of squaring. So I can think of the number, when I multiply it by itself, it gives me this 16. Or 16 is the square number of number what? Of course, it's number 4. When I multiply the 4 by itself, it gives me the 16. So the square root of 16 equals 4. What about negative 4 times negative 4? A number multiplied by itself, but this time both numbers are negative numbers. We said before, negative times negative, the answer will be positive. So I can get number 16 by squaring number 4 or by squaring number negative 4. So we can say that the square root gives two answers. One of them is positive and the other one is negative. So the answer of square root of 16 could be 4 and negative 4. Okay? So the square root gives two answers. One of them is positive and the other one is negative. We cannot find the square root for negative numbers. There is nothing called square root of negative 16. No. I cannot put a negative number under the square root. The number under the square root is always a positive number, and most of the time it is a square number in year 6. Okay? Now, we said the square root is the opposite of squaring. Write the two values of the following square roots. This is a question. Square root of 16, we just did it, and it has two values. The question asked you here to write the two values. What are these two values? The positive one and the negative one. And we said it is 4 and negative 4. What about square root? I changed the sign here just to know that both signs are the same. Square root of number 4. Number 4 is a square number. It's the square number of number 2. 2 squared equals 4. So the square root of number 4 is number 2 and negative 2. What about square root of number 1? Number 1 is a square number of number 1. So it's 1 and negative 1 because 1 times 1 gives 1. Negative 1 times negative 1 also gives 1. Now, square root of 9. What do you think? What is the number when I multiply it by self? It gives me 9. Or what number 9 is the square number of number? What? Number 3. So the answer will be 3 and negative 3. What about square root of 36? 36 also a square number of number 6. So the answer will be 6 and negative 6. So 6 times 6 gives 36. That's why 6 our answer. And also negative 6 times negative 6 gives 36. So this is the second answer of the square root. Square root of 100. 100 is a square number of number 10. So it will be 10 and negative 10. Is this clear now? Let's remember and sum up all the ideas that we took today. The square root is the inverse operation of the squaring. And we said the squaring, do you remember what is the squaring? When we multiply the number by itself to get a square number. The square root gives two values, one positive and one negative. We can't get the square root for negative numbers. As we said, I cannot say square root of negative 4. No, the number under the square root should be a positive number. Now it's our questions time. Are you ready? Square root of 49. 49 is the square number of number 7. So the answer will be 7 and negative 7. What about square root of 144? 144 is a square number of number 12. So the answer will be 12 and negative 12 because the question asked you to find the two values. Square root of 64. 64 is a square number of number 8. So the answer will be 8 and negative 8. What about square root of 121? 121 is the square number of number 11. So the answer will be 11 and negative 11. What about square root of 400? What do you think? I want you to think of this one. This is number 4, right? And number 4 is a square number of number 2. But this is 400. So the answer will be 200. What do you think? Is 200 times 200 gives 400? No. Think again. It is 20. 20 times 20 gives 400. So the answer will be 20 and negative 20. Now, square root of 81. 81 is a square number of number 9. So the answer will be 9 and negative 9. Now, let's have some questions which has geometrical applications using the square root. The most famous example is the square. We know that the square, all sides are equal, right? Do you remember the area of the square? And how do we calculate the area of the square? We multiply the side by itself, which means I'm squaring the side, which means the side to the power of 2. Is this clear? So let's see the question. Side length equals square root of the area. So if I know the area, and we said the area is the squaring of the side, so if I want to get the side length, if I know the area, and I want to get the side length, I will find the square root of the area. So the side length of the square, and this only with the square, equals square root of the area. Let's see example. Let me remind you of the rule. Side length of the square is the square root of the area, as we said. Calculate the side length of a square with area 64 centimeter squared. So this is the area, and he wants the side length of the square. We said the side length of the square equal the square root of the area. So the square root of 64 is, am I going to write here 8 and negative 8? Is there anything called negative 8 centimeters? Of course not. It does not make sense. So in such kind of questions, I write the positive value only. So the side length for this question will be 8, and of course it's centimeter, not centimeter squared, because this is a side length. So it's a length, not an area. Okay, remember. One more question. Calculate the side length of a square with area 9 meters squared. So the area here is 9 meters squared, and number 9 is a square number. So the side length, we said it will be the square root of the area, which is the square root of 9. What is the square root of 9? Number 9 is the square number of number? Yes, 3. So the answer will be, yes, 3 meters. This is the end of our lesson today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you have any question, please feel free to leave a comment, and I will answer you as soon as possible. See you next video, and please remember that your feedback is highly appreciated. Thank you very much, and see you soon.